What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson, today joined by my co-host, Will Cohen. Before we even dive into today's video, I just want to reiterate the new schedule that we announced during our last recording. We're going to be uploading 3 times a week. Videos are going to be coming out on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So if you're a fan of us and the Rangers and you want to see more content, be sure to look out for videos on those days. And in order to see those videos and allow us to keep making them for you, please hit that like button and subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss notification. Lastly, be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. But today's video, we are talking about a couple things. We are a few days late on this, just getting prepared for this new schedule that we got going on. But the Rangers did extend Will Borgen, who they acquired via trade earlier this season. And I think he's looked really well in the 18 games he's played in New York so far. The term and the cost of this contract, I'm a little iffy on, but we're going to dive on into that. And then after we give a quick reaction to this Borgen extension, which I've now realized the graphics are spelled wrong. I'm sorry. That's probably my fault. It's Borgen, not Bergen. After we talk about that extension quick, we're going to be doing a second discussion about if the Rangers should be aiming for a playoff push right now or kind of conserving, ready to prepare for the future. Because things have gotten a little crazy in Rangers Town. We were bad. Now all of a sudden we're good again. I'm not really sure what to make of it, but we'll see. We're going to get right on into these two discussions. So before we do, like I said, like, subscribe, ring that bell. And Will, how are you doing today, my friend?
Tired like normal. I can't lie. That is my normal.
Classic answer. Last couple videos, you've been saying good, and it feels weird. I like it when you say good because I
can't say I'm good. I don't know. I feel very unfocused today.
Well, I need you to lock in for like the next.
I'm locked. I'm just very unfocused for some reason. I don't know why.
Let's get right into this contract breakdown. It's a weird one. I'm not gonna lie. It is a 5-year contract that is worth $4.1 million annually. Now, I'm just going to say right off the bat, I think that's a couple years too many for a couple mil too many. I would have liked to see it be a shorter contract, maybe 3 years, considering the fact that Borgen is already 28 and this contract is going to expire when he's 33. I don't like having that many players in their 30s, especially with the way that this franchise looks like it's heading. That's locking them up till the same year as Mika Zibanejad. And we all know how we feel about that contract. But aside from the numbers of it, there is a pretty complicated no move clause that changes pretty much every year. So let's break that down. Next year, when this deal kicks in, it's a full no move clause. And based off of what we've seen recently with certain players like Trouba and Zibanejad, no move clauses scare me because if he falls off a cliff and starts to play like Keandre Miller, not much we can really do with that. But after next year in the 26-27 season, that trade clause becomes a 15-team no trade clause. So trading him 2 seasons from now becomes a little bit easier. Then the year after that, it changes again. It becomes a 10-team no trade clause for 2027-28. Even easier. Year after that, 28-29, 6-team no move clause. And then in the final year of his contract, there is no trade protection whatsoever. So if things do go downhill, it will become easier and easier to move on from him every single year. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen a contract that is structured this way, or if there is, we don't talk about it a lot. But I don't mind these clauses. If we need to move on from him a few years from now when he's in his 30s and his play is declining, we most certainly can. Wouldn't be the easiest thing in the world because of that cap hit at $4.1 million. Still not a big fan of that, but if we have to retain a little bit, somebody will take him. So that's far enough in the future where we don't have to worry about it. I'm just thinking like 5 years from now, I don't think we're going to be sitting here complaining about his contract like we've done with other players. I think it's going to be one of those, it's like we need to move on from him, and then we do type of situations. But for now, I love the way that Borgen is playing. I do think it's a little early. He's only played 18 games for the Rangers. I think this could have waited till after the season just to see where we're at if we want to keep a guy like Borgen around. But in the small sample size we've gotten in those 18 games, he's played really well. He's already one of the better defensemen on this team. So I guess so far he's earned it. I personally would have just waited because, who knows how much money we're going to need at this deadline, which we'll get into in the second part of the discussion. So I like the signing. I don't love it, though. I think there are aspects that could be better, but I've seen far worse as a Rangers fan. So that's my opinion on it. Will, I'll let you give your reaction quick, and then we'll transition to the next part of this discussion.
To your point to the deadline cap space, I think they now have $18.5 million in cap. So that's still a lot of money, and I doubt they use all of that at the deadline. For Borgen, I think another thing, if you go like 5 years into the future, I mean the salary cap's going up $9 million this year anyway. So at this point,
that's true. I didn't consider the increase in cap. That does make it a little lot more for me.
Like, that's what I was thinking about. Like when he first signed the contract, I was thinking like, all right, 4.1 million is kind of a lot of money, but like with the cap increasing the way it is, it'll probably just fall under like that'll probably make the minimum that Will Borgen type of players make. 5 years is a little too long in my opinion. I would have gone 3, and I agree with you. He signed this. I think it was 17 games, and it was before the Avalanche game. That was the first game he played under the new contract. I would have waited until closer to the end of the season. I get wanting to lock him up. He's played like a defenseman the Rangers have needed for a while, just a plain Jane vanilla defenseman who stays at home and sometimes will help bail Keandre Miller out, even though Keandre's been playing very well with him. He's sort of like a Nico Mikkola, I would say Borgen is, but Mikkola has a little bit more of offensive upside. I've liked how he's played outside of the one boneheaded pass he made to Panarin yesterday that led to Artturi Lehkonen's game-winning goal. But other than that, I think he's played very solid. Him and Keandre have been playing very well in the 17 games he's been here, or 18 games he's been here. So I'm not mad at this deal. I think it may be like 2 years too long or maybe a year too long, but I'm very happy with the way Will Borgen has been playing. I know it's 18 games into his Rangers tenure, but I think so far his play has deserved a contract extension. I don't know if it's right now. I would have given it to him, but he hasn't played very well, and I have enjoyed his game with the Rangers so far.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep repeating the same stuff, but I think around by the trade deadline, or I guess that's really only 2 months away now. I feel like that's creeping up on us really quick, and that's really only like a month because it's the end of January now. So we're gonna have to start ramping up the trade deadline content soon. I guess this is technically the start of it, but I would say by the trade deadline would have been like when I would have decided, does Borgen deserve an extension now or later? But like you said, it might be a year or two too long, but at the same time, that cap is going up, and by the time we get to those 2 years that we might be regretting, the ability to trade him will be phenomenally easy. So dub trade, I'm happy with it. No, I don't love it, like I said, but it could be worse. And I think he's played well. So that is our reaction to the Borgen extension. The second part of this discussion might be a little shorter. It's just a quick thought, spewing my thoughts. Want to know how you feel, and I want to know how all of the fans watching feel. So as we're talking, be sure to leave your thoughts down in that comment section. I don't think I said that in the intro. I know the last couple episodes we've had a lot of fans that have disagreed with our takes, which is perfectly okay. I don't need to always be right. I love hearing other opinions. So even whether you agree, whether you disagree, let us know. But should the Rangers be pushing for the playoffs right now? If you would have asked me this question a month ago, I would have said no, and I wouldn't even have considered it. I'm like, just call the season over, get it done with, get a good draft pick, and start the rebuild, or the retool, I should say. But we made some trades. Trouba got sent to Anaheim, Kakko to Seattle, and I guess that was enough to spark a little bit of a comeback because the Rangers went from nearly being at the bottom of the league to being just a few points out of the playoff spot. For those that don't know the stats offhand, the first wildcard spot's held by Boston. They have 56 points. Second wildcard spot is Tampa, 55. Blue Jackets are also right there at 55. Then the Canadians are there at 43 and 53. And then there's us at 52. So I'm saying if we're going to make a playoff push, I don't think we're anywhere close to a divisional playoff spot. I think if anything, we're going to end up in a wild card spot, which we are only 4 points out of. Looking back, heading into Saturday night, we were only 1 point out of it, but then Columbus won, and then we lost to the Avalanche. So we're down to 4 now. But based off the way that we've been playing, coming off a 10 game point streak, I think we have it in us. When we started to win a few games, I'm like, whatever. Like at some point, we were going to have to stretch like a string of wins together. But I feel like 10 games, that's an eighth of the season to go on a point streak. I think it was convincing enough to me. And I'm seeing a lot of players start to produce again. Like Zibanejad has started to produce. Even Kreider, Panarin looks a lot better too. Lafreniere started scoring goals again. And we're still getting consistent production from the bottom six as well, from Cooley and Rempe and Edstrom and even Hedel. So I think it's a full team effort. Shesterkin has looked great again too. He had a rocky start to the season, and he's looking like the number one goaltender again. The only player I just don't have faith in is Keandre Miller at the moment. So to me, I don't think we need to do anything crazy at the deadline. I mean, we need to bolster this roster, that's for sure. But when it comes to a playoff push, why not? We're playing like the way we played last year. We're not going to finish in a spot like we did last year because of that terrible start to the season. But if we come into the playoffs as a wild card team, I think we would still be playing at the same level as anyone else. It'd be a tougher path, but we'd be just as good. We're trying to make up ground here. So I think it's possible. I say when the deadline comes around, try to get one big name player and call it a day. Someone that's going to save our defense, and maybe one more top six player, because I don't know if I'm fully in love with Riley Smith. I would like to see someone like JT Miller. I know last episode we said no. I just didn't like the ingredients in that trade. If we're trying to win a cup, JT Miller would help. Obviously, you guys made that very clear in the comment section. But that's my take. I say, why not go for it? We're playing good. As long as we're still playing good in March, go all in and let's go win a cup. That's my take.
They play Carolina tomorrow, Boston on Saturday, who's obviously ahead of them, Vegas, Boston again, Pittsburgh, and then Columbus. So they're playing.
That's a scary schedule.
In the next 2 weeks, they have 3 teams that are ahead of them in the playoffs. So obviously they need to win those. They need to beat they already beat Vegas once. Vegas is obviously a very good team. They've gotten steamrolled by Carolina in December, but it's obviously a completely different team. They just got Mikko Rantanen. The Rangers look like a completely different team than they did a month ago. Yeah, I mean, if they're in a spot where they're in a wild card spot by March, why not go all in? You have the cap space to do it at the deadline. I don't even know who they would trade for. I guess JT Miller, maybe try and get Elias Pettersson. I really don't know who's available on the market right now.
Yeah,
this is the first time in a few years I'm saying this, because the Rangers were so bad the last 2 months that I had absolutely zero faith that they were going to make the playoffs. So I didn't care to see who was available on the market. Obviously Mikko Rantanen was available, but I don't think
that
trade for that. That was insane. That trade was insane. I know I'm kind of going off topic, but yeah, I mean, if they're playing well, if they continue to play well, and they've played well their last 10 games, which, I mean, yesterday was their first time in 11 games that they lost in regulation, and they came back from 2-goal deficits twice. Yeah, I know they lost in regulation. I would have liked to see them get at least a point in that game, but they're playing good. Shesterkin's playing good again. They're getting production. Their bottom six are getting production from their top six, like you said. Our defense is playing a little bit better. They played a little too loose yesterday, but so did the Avalanche. But it kind of seems like everything's kind of clicking at the time it should be, and hopefully it continues that way. But they did it for 10 games. There was a 10-game sample size. It's not like it was just a 3-game sample size. It was 10 games. Go all in. Screw it. Go all in. You get it as a second wild card. The Panthers did it a couple years ago, went to the Stanley Cup final. I know they got steamrolled by the Golden Knights, but anything can happen when you make the playoffs. They're a crapshoot. Go all in.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I should say, I feel like I've phrased the question the wrong way. It shouldn't be, should the Rangers be making a playoff push? Obviously, the answer is yes. Like, it's either that or just roll over and die. And I will always advocate for us winning games rather than losing them. I think the real phrasing of the question should have been, is a playoff push possible? Which I think after this discussion, we've determined the answer is yes, and that we should be going all in. So, it's at the time of this recording, it's January 27th. It's releasing tomorrow on the 28th. The trade deadline, I don't know the exact date off the top of my head, but it's usually early March. So we are about just a little over a month away from that trade deadline. We are going to be ramping up that content very much. So if there are any players that you, the fans watching, would like to see us discuss a potential trade about, please let us know, because doing these mock trade episodes are always some of my favorites to do. I love this time of year when it's trade deadline season, and then when it's free agent season. Those are my favorite videos to make. So I'm ready to rock and roll now. But that about wraps up our two-part discussion about the Will Borgen extension, as well as is a playoff push possible for the Rangers. I'd like to hear your thoughts on both. So please, like I said a few times this episode, let us know down in the comment section below whether you agree or disagree with us. Doesn't matter. Love to hear your feedback. If you guys did enjoy, please make sure that you like, subscribe, ring that bell to miss a notification, and be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms at Fireside Rangers. But once again, thank you all for watching. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.